Hello guys, welcome back to a movie review because we just came out of the theaters and we saw what, boy?
Lord of the Rings, The War of
Rohirrim.
Rohirrim, okay.
And this is basically directed by who?
It is not directed by Peter Jackson, but
What?
It is advertised like it is. However, it is directed by Kenji Kamayama. However, he was, I believe, an executive producer.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, he had his role in this, his hands in here at least.
All right, so let me get you a little back why they use Peter Jackson's, name.
Let's hear it.
The reason why they did it, it's because apparently Peter Jackson wanted to come back on board to actually start doing filming. Obviously, we know about Amazon. They basically ignored the hell out of him.
Oh, for the show, correct?
Yeah, the Rings of Powers. They're like, we don't want you to be part of this whatsoever.
Which is...
It's just kind of, we know why. But obviously, we know about, HBO, basically Warner Brothers. They have the rights to the Lord of the Rings. And obviously, this film is technically supposedly rights from the estate of the actual Tolkien estate.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're the ones who own the rights. And if they don't do, the 10-year contract thing to make
a film,
or at least to hold the name of the rights for
correct.
The title. If not, then they could actually get the Lord of the Rings back, and then they can't do anything about it.
So basically, like the Sony characters they did with like Craven and.
Oh yeah, don't worry, we'll get into that.
But it's basically like that,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
To keep the rights of the characters in the.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
They have to release a film. We don't know the contract exact, but everyone says it's very likely 10 years, and it does make sense if you think about it. The Lord of the Rings came out, and then they did the Hobbits.
Yeah.
Yeah, so obviously, definitely, it is just for the sake of rights. This is just for contract purposes. This is why this film was made.
So, didn't that happen with Hulk or something? Didn't they lose the rights, like Universal to Hulk or something?
Oh, we have no idea what exactly the rights are.
Oh, okay.
But they're doing whatever they're doing. With that.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. But basically, it is definitely because of the damn rights.
Okay.
This is why the movie was made. It doesn't, to be honest, Warner Brothers doesn't care if it becomes good or bad. They just had to release something.
So they don't care. It'll be like a write-off check, a tax.
It doesn't matter. They need to put out something so they could have the title, the name of the titles back. Okay. So they won't go back to the Tolkien estate. Okay. So that's why it's been made. And it kind of sucks because it makes sense why these films are starting to come out. We're getting another one next year. Do you know which one? Lord of the Rings, The Search for Gollum.
Oh shit, you're right.
And see, it makes sense. So obviously, it's gonna be of that. But luckily, Peter Jackson is working on that one, and we have no idea what the script's mostly gonna be about. But we know it's gonna be in the books, hopefully.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Does the game not count? Because they did that Gollum game. Okay.
No. So basically, it is what it is. Either we like this or hate this film. It doesn't matter because there's going to be the Warner Brothers executives are the ones who actually will enjoy even if they release anything.
They should release Lord of the Rings stuff for Universal.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Like Universal Studios. I wish they would.
I know, but yeah,
it's just Harry Potter.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously, this is a $30 million budget.
Yeah.
So you could tell they probably put some money into this, but not a whole lot of it. And the question is, do we actually like it or hate it? We can already tell that some people actually enjoy this and some people don't like this. And obviously, boy, what do you think of this? Are you one of the camp that actually liked this film or not?
I definitely didn't hate the film. I thought the animation was a little strange, but it was not terrible. It was still kind of pretty to look at. Especially the characters, the background, like drawings and stuff like that. Because, this is an anime film. So appearance plays a lot. But I will say, for me, I enjoyed the film. I don't think it was perfect. It's far from perfect or far from great. But I thought it was good. I mean, it just felt more like the second one, the Tower of Two. The second Lord of the Rings. I mean, it's not really necessarily welcomed or needed, but it is fine.
Yeah.
I did like some of the characters. I actually did like the characters.
Oh, tell us about the characters that we come across.
So Helm is the king, but the main character of the whole film is going to be Hera and her longtime friend Wolf. who we know becomes the villain of the film. Those characters were really, obviously, mainly Helm, whoever voiced, I think Brian Cox. Yeah, Brian Cox voiced Helm, the king. And I thought his voice acting was superb. I thought it was really good. I would say almost all of them of the voice actors were spot on. Like they fit the character. They looked good. The Squire felt a little odd.
You know, you gotta have a butt-in joke there. So obviously that's him.
But it was like the voice that was it felt strange. It just felt a little strange.
Yeah.
But aside from that, you know, I thought the villain was kind of one note, just revenge and stuff like that. But I think the other characters and the action sequences were actually quite nice and quite well done. And I like that they show like a new monster, kind of like the octopus thing.
Oh, we'll talk more about that.
But going back to just sticking what I think about this film, I think it was a good film. I don't hate it. I don't love it. I don't think it's amazing, but I thought it was good. It was good enough for me. It was not too long. Because it was like an hour and 30.
2 hours and 14 for this.
Wait, it was 2 hours?
2 hours.
That felt short.
It felt. Go on.
I'm surprised. Well, anyways, this film wasn't the best, but again, I'm sticking to the same thing. It was fine. It was a fine film.
Oh, okay.
Fine characters. Animation was definitely interesting. I don't think it was dog shit, but it was still a little clunky. But like around them, it was the characters moving and stuff that felt strange.
Yeah.
Some of it felt smooth and new. Some of it just felt most of it felt like a little weird and wonky.
Oh, okay.
Okay. What about yourself, Will?
Obviously, this is definitely night and day from the Rings of Powers from the Amazon that we just got this year from, season 2, which everybody loves. You know what I mean? But yeah, obviously, it is definitely one of those films that I think if you saw Rings of Powers, you're definitely going to love this one because it's a lot better. I'm not going to lie. It's such a low-hanging fruit too. But to be honest, in my honest opinion, I think this didn't work for me. I really wish I could just come out and just say like, man, this is the best the best adaptation of Lord of the Rings, the next Peter Jackson's trilogy.
Agreed.
But to be honest, I'm not a big fan. There is some moments that I did like. Like, I did like what you were saying, like, the animation was beautiful. I like it. To be honest, I could have some of the posters.
Like, even, like, the main poster for the film. That's
good. Really good.
Like,
I like some of the uniforms that they had. It's straight out of the, like, legitly from the movies. Yeah. And there's a reason why people probably thought maybe Peter Jackson did actually, was, helping out in this film. But he really has nothing to do with them. They just wanted his name, nothing else. Yeah. Which kind of sucks, but, they'll do anything to get butts in the seat.
Yeah.
But for me, I didn't enjoy it as much other people would have. It's probably because I already seen a terrible film, The Rings of Power. Yeah. Trust me, Rings of Power is 20 times worse. I'm not saying this is the worst of the worst, but I'm not saying it's not the best neither.
Yeah.
And maybe I could say like a meh film.
Yeah.
And it could have been one of those films that just go straight to DVDs or even to the streaming service. And then maybe I'll probably have a better time there, like on TV. I don't think it should have been in the big screens. That's me though, because
I would have I'm in for any like Lord of the Rings stuff on the big screen. Like,
yeah, I'm down to go back to Middle Earth. But not like this, though.
I mean, it could have been better. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I thought it still looked good and stuff. And honestly, it was when I found out that it was coming out. I didn't even know there was. If you think about it, there wasn't crazy advertisement for this film.
Oh yeah, of course.
So I honestly don't think they lost. Like, I mean, I'm sure they're gonna probably lose money. But I don't think they advertised it as much.
Yeah.
But like the trailer looked good when I saw the film, but it wasn't like I'm glad I wasn't overly excited. Like number one of this year and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, of course.
But I mean, it was a surprise to me. Was it welcome? Not really, but I mean, I like Lord of the Rings. I like the soundtrack of Lord of the Rings. I wasn't the worst animation. Honestly, they could have done worse. They could have done Rings of Power worse, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I felt like they did kind of take some stuff with like putting the female stuff like that. I thought they did a good job of it. quite
yeah, I think
like
so too.
I don't felt like it was in your face, like
girl
punch.
Boss.
Yeah, not girl boss. I thought she earned her right, and she was already
exactly.
She was already a character, that was smart and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and
I know what you mean.
And stuff. Yeah, like
I try to stay away from that as much as possible because
yeah,
I know what people talk about, but this is not it. This is a different kind of film that people would think that the first moment that you see like a female protagonist, you just go like, it's a girl boss, but it's not.
No,
obviously she does have her moments, and obviously she does have like those moments that she does get her ass kicked. Yeah, and obviously there's some things that falls legitimately on her by by chance. Yeah. But obviously, I do think this film is one of those films that I'm, it could have been better, but I think it's just a little lower to me. Like I'm not a big fan of it. Like, to be honest, I'll probably forget this film in no time. It's one of those forgetful films that I just like would one day just go like, oh yeah, I forgot they made a movie about this.
Yeah, I agree with that, which sucks because I'm all down for like an anime Lord of the Rings like that, like. The animation wasn't the worst. Like, they're terrible. I mean, I thought it was better than some other animations,
Yeah, exactly.
Like, and it definitely looked different, which I applaud them for making it different. I mean, personally, I would like this movie to do good just for maybe they could actually make it perhaps write a better, like, script. Because I felt like the characters, for the most part, were there.
I think what you're trying to say, if probably Warner Brothers didn't look at this as just a contract thing. They could have probably made with a better budget. Probably it could have got better with the story, but
maybe like it feels like they scheduled them this date. They told them to get something there and done on paper, and then have it out before the year.
But if you think about it, every time when I'm like talking about like these kind of things, I feel like there is some moments here that gets ridiculous, and I mean ridiculous. I'm talking about, obviously, the villain, obviously he gets ridiculous.
Yeah, that's why
just because of a certain thing that happens, and he's just like, oh yeah? Well, how about if I do this? How about if I do that? We'll explain more in spoilers, but what I'm trying to say, but it is kind of just fun. It gets ridiculous at a moment, and I'm just like, this should have been stopped a long time ago. Yeah. And obviously there is moments that I was like, oh, that's cool. And then all of a sudden they kind of just went to a different direction. And obviously, guess what saves the day is coincidence. Yeah. And I'm just like, oh, wait, I guess that's always going to be saving the day. Yeah. They kind of made fun of that in The Hobbits even. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about. It's a Pacific bird like for the rescue for the 900th time. Always, which I wish they wouldn't do that. Yeah, I know. I was like, please just start your own little thing, maybe do something else that's a little bit more creative. But that's just me, though. Yeah. And they do go like tipsy with a lot of the stuff here. Yeah. I wish I could give it, like one of the best things. Like, you know what? I think it's the best animation out there right now, but I don't think so. I think you could actually skip this. If you're a big Lord of the Rings fan, if you want to see something Lord of the Rings to kind of wait for the next Peter Jackson film, which it's going to happen, The Hunt for Gollum or whatever they're going to call it, I guess you could watch this to, get your fill and then get ready for that one. But to be honest, I think you could skip this and just wait for that and see what happens. Because to be honest, I don't think you could actually, and this is canon now. This is one of the canon trilogy too. Okay. So this is like, what, 400 years before it brings...
No, I think it was like 180.
180, right? Yeah. Yeah, because we get to see some old characters coming back here.
Yeah. Which I thought if they use... Because they're... You know how they talk about, like, rings and stuff like that.
I do like some of the funny thing is, like, remember berries. Like, remember this, remember... Hey, he did the thing. Yeah. You know the thing. You know what I mean? And I was just like, all right, I get the thing. It does get a little annoying, but I do appreciate, some of the remember berries, but it does get overwhelming half the time.
I'm just glad it wasn't like Star Wars remember berries.
Oh, those are horrible. Yeah.
But I really wish I could say don't skip it, watch in theaters. But this is something, if you're a diehard Lord of the Rings fan, I recommend you go see it. If this movie looked interesting to you at all, or if the animation piqued your interest, go watch it. Yeah. However, if you were just coming out or just like, Lord of the Rings movie, maybe I'll check it out or something, I would recommend just waiting. I'll wait till it comes to any streaming service, but I do recommend watching it when it does come out to any streaming services. Do not avoid this movie at all, unless if like you're curious a little bit about it. I recommend watching it, or maybe in the background, or just like something to pass time a little bit, because it wasn't all like it wasn't all like
it wasn't
not all bad. It had some really interesting moments, definitely some interesting action. Some had some really good. I thought more of the first half had the better action too, and definitely some really gorgeous shots, and art design was in this film. So that's why it's like a 50-50 with skipping out in this film. Maybe in theaters skip it out, but when it comes out, if you have the time or you're a little curious, I do recommend watching it, because there is some, nice stuff in the film.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with that 100%. There is very nice stuff, but there is some moments that'll definitely kind of punch you out of the immersion for me. Especially when they kind of try a little bit too hard with the stuff they keep trying to repeat on you.
Yeah.
And some of this bizarre stuff that does happen in Helm's Deep.
Yeah, which I could see a lot of people not liking that part of in Helm's Deep.
Yeah.
Because I felt more the first half of the film was the strongest.
Yeah, I think the first half was really good until the second half.
Yeah.
So I could see why, and obviously there is some moments that there is some there was kind of funny moments that the audience actually did laugh, and I actually laughed myself too.
Likewise. Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually pretty good with that. I was like, you know what, the humor was pretty good. I just wish they concentrated a little bit more on the story and kind of the more, I guess you could say, the more realistic stuff.
Yeah, I do.
Like some of instead of going like backflips, and don't get me wrong, I know Legacy is out there, but he's a freaking elf because he's been, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
I mean, there was that one scene where the bridge breaks in the last one, the Battle of Five Armies.
Yeah,
and he jumps on the rocks. I was like, Peter Jackson, what are you doing, bro?
I think he was sick that day.
It was a little extra. That was a little extra.
And it's like one of those things that you just want to know, like, should I disbelieve that part, or is it because he's like he has like an ancient bloodline?
Yeah, but that's what it made him seem like.
Yeah,
I mean, like Gandalf doesn't even do that shit, Saruman doesn't even. Radagast the fucking Brown doesn't even do that type of shit, right? Yeah. So that's the thing I'm getting, like that, punches you out of the film, like, brother.
There's a couple of moments that you'll start seeing that I'm like, what my point of view when we get to spoilers, that you start wondering, like, yeah, you know what, that does sound goofy, and maybe they should have kept that out.
Yeah.
And maybe do a little bit better.
That was probably the biggest thing. That was like the goofiest thing I could think of.
Man, there's more goofy stuff. Even the villain, but we'll get more into that. So let's go to final verdicts. Boy, go right ahead. Tell us your gripes and your positives and go.
So I mean, I really wish I liked this film. I really, really do. I don't think it's the worst. Like I said, you could either skip it or you could go see it. It's literally up to you. I just make sure you know what you're getting into. Read the summary plot of the film. Don't go in blind, for you could have an idea of what this film is. And then when you read that, you know what film it will be. There's no crazy strong villain that you're going to remember. But the other characters, the main characters, I thought you will remember. Definitely a little more, human, but stuff you have seen in other anime, of course.
Yeah.
And in Lord of the Rings, of course.
Yeah.
With their pride and stuff like that. Like, God damn it. But anyways, I will give this film a solid C. It is right there in the middle. I don't think it's a D at all. I don't think it's a B or an A. It is just a C for me. There's not crazy amount of gripes other than I wish this was better. I wish it was more polished. The script was polished. I mean it's anime, but I didn't think they were gonna go that wild with some of the shit that happens.
All right. Oh man, a C. I'm trying to go, like, I don't completely hate this. It seems like I hate it, but I'm not like completely on board giving this straight up like an F. Maybe in a low D. I'm right between a D plus and a C minus. I'm right between there. And it's because I love the animation. The animation was really good. I love the characters, like Hera. I do like her. She was very, she had a good role, and I definitely loved the king himself. And some of the side characters, but none of them really had that much of a big impact anyway.
Yeah.
But I didn't like the villain. I didn't like where the story was kind of going, and I just felt like it did get goofy in certain aspects. With the whole second half of it.
Yeah.
And when I go into like seeing something like that, I just punch out of the immersion. I start thinking like, what is going on?
Yeah, because it's like I'm watching this Lord of the Rings, not fucking One Punch Man or something.
Yeah, exactly. And look, this is different from Rings of Powers. If you saw Rings of Power, what are you doing? I'm gonna tell you, see this instead.
Yeah,
100%. That is a fan fiction done by a child. With crayons. And obviously this one, it does seem like it is fan fiction, but a fan that actually cared. Yeah. That actually tried putting the effort in there, and actually you could sit down and read it. But it's not like the best out of the best, but at least it's better than that garbage that we got. So I'm going to grade it in the curve. I think I'm going to give this a C- just because there is some moments that I did like with the characters, but obviously there's a lot of negative stuff that almost brought it down to that level. But I did love it where some of the characters that surprisingly did show up there, and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe they showed that character that I actually enjoyed. Yeah. But again, those are those memory berries that, they're trying to give you like that dopamine hit. Yeah. To go like, I hope you remember that, right? Yeah. Like you love that stuff, right? Keep feasting on that. And obviously this is just probably a nice stepping stone for the actual Peter Jackson film that is going to come out next year.
I do hope, yes.
Yeah.
I do hope.
So yeah, exactly. So if, I don't mind this film. It does has flaws, but I was hoping that it wouldn't be just a stepping stone for Warner Brothers for real, because it actually wants it to hold the titles in the States, just for them for the next 10 years. Yeah. That's the whole purpose of this film. And I wish they didn't treat it that way.
Likewise.
Yeah, but at least they treated it a lot better than what Amazon did to the Rings of Power.
They just wanted that money.
Yeah, exactly. And it failed and blew up in their face. So either way, I gave this a C-. Not the worst and not the best neither. Yeah. So I do suggest if you did see Rings of Power, definitely check this out. 100%. Get that nasty taste out of your mouth.
Please do.
Yeah. All right. Well, either way, thank you guys for listening. If you want to stick around for spoilers, please do. We'll see you in the next one. Later, guys. Later.